Before you try to change how people treat you, you must understand one of the most overlooked truths in human psychology. People do not change their behavior because you argue harder, talk longer, explain deeper, or defend yourself louder. They change because your patterns shift quietly, consistently, and without announcement. Real shifts in relationships happen not through confrontation, but through clarity. Not through emotional speeches, but through steady behavior that forces others to recalibrate the way they interact with you. And the moment you stop engaging in the old patterns that kept you undervalued, something remarkable begins to happen. People start treating you according to the standards you silently set. One of the first quiet habits that transforms relationships is reducing instant availability. When your time is always open, your presence becomes subconsciously categorized as predictable rather than meaningful. But when you respond at your own pace, when your schedule reflects your priorities instead of constant accommodation, people begin approaching you with more thoughtfulness and respect. They sense that your energy is intentional, not something they can pull from endlessly. This isn't coldness, it's self-respect expressed as structure. The second quiet habit is speaking less and observing more. People who pause before responding appear more grounded because their words come from thoughtfulness instead of reactivity. Observation reveals truths that conversations often hide: who dominates, who listens, who projects, who misunderstands on purpose, who values your presence, and who simply uses it. When you speak less, others naturally measure their words more carefully because silence creates its own gravity. It makes your presence heavier, your reactions more meaningful, and your insight more respected. The third quiet habit is letting go of overgiving. Many people mistakenly believe generosity earns appreciation, but psychology shows that overgiving actually trains others to undergive. When you continuously give more than your share emotionally, mentally, physically, others adapt by giving less, not from malice but from normalization. Your extra effort becomes invisible. But when you calmly step back and allow others to meet you halfway, the relationship either rebalances or exposes its imbalance. Overgiving doesn't create closeness, reciprocity does. And stepping back is how you discover whether the connection was mutual or built on your self-sacrifice. The fourth silent habit is reinforcing what's healthy, not what's harmful. Every relationship functions through reinforcement loops. Behaviors that get attention are repeated, and those met with calm boundaries dissolve. If someone raises their voice and you react emotionally, that reaction becomes reinforcement. If someone withdraws affection and you chase, the distance becomes rewarded. But when you respond to unhealthy patterns with grounded non-engagement, you subtly teach the dynamic that the old behavior no longer works. And when you warmly acknowledge respect, kindness, and cooperation, you expand the behaviors you want more of. You're not manipulating, you're guiding the rhythm of the relationship through psychological clarity. The fifth quiet habit is protecting your emotional world. Not every emotion needs to be expressed in real time, and not every person deserves access to your inner landscape. When your emotional boundaries are soft, people often misinterpret your vulnerability as dependence. But when you hold your emotional experiences with intentionality, sharing them only with the people who have earned your trust, you create a sense of steadiness that shifts how others relate to you. People respect those who regulate their emotions instead of bleeding them out everywhere. And contrary to what many fear, protecting your emotional world doesn't make you distant. It makes you strong, selective, and self-contained. The sixth quiet habit is matching effort calmly. Most emotional exhaustion stems from giving far more than you receive. When you respond with the same level of effort someone offers you, no more, no less, you remove the guesswork from relationships. If they step forward, you feel supported. If they pull back, the distance becomes clear. Matching effort is not withdrawal, it is alignment. It prevents resentment, reveals truth, and roots you in self-respect without ever needing confrontation. And finally, the seventh habit, the most powerful of all, is the willingness to walk away when you feel unvalued. In psychology, this is called self-worth signaling. When you step back from environments where your presence is ignored or taken for granted, your absence speaks in ways your words never could. People suddenly notice the space you once filled, the energy you once gave, the support they expected without acknowledgement. But the point of walking away is not to make them realize your value, it's to honor your own. Leaving quietly is not weakness, it is the deepest form of self-alignment. And almost every major turning point in someone's adulthood begins with this one silent choice. These habits aren't about punishing others or withdrawing from the world. They're about embodying a clearer version of yourself, one whose sense of worth is no longer dependent on explanation, reaction, or emotional labor. When your behavior aligns with your self-respect, people adjust. They soften their tone around you. They become more careful with your time. They listen more closely. They approach you with consideration because they sense you no longer tolerate anything less. Quiet habits don't make you distant, they make you defined. And defined people reshape their relationships without saying a word. If this message helped you understand your power a little more deeply, subscribe to the Knownsense, because here, we don't just learn psychology, we learn how to live it.